2v8 is back, lads and ladettes. Did behaviour actually improve the mode from last time?
No.
I'll preface this video by saying I'm not here to tell you how to have fun, okay? If you enjoy this mode, more power to you, but it is objectively struggling and that is blatantly obvious by the queue time still being completely atrocious, so let's see where this mode is falling flat on its face and why those queue times have not improved. So the last time 2v8 was in the game, I made a video that outlined what to me were the main problems with this mode. In no particular order, they were: Survivor was too boring, Survivor was too easy, there weren't enough killers to play, and killer queues took too long and it affected the main game queues, so playing 1v4 killer was basically impossible. Let's go over each one and see whether they changed it, and if they did, whether it was good or bad. We'll start with Survivor being boring and too easy since they overlap a little. When I play games, I like to actually feel challenged, at least these types of games. Games like Stardew Valley are fine not challenging you, but a PvP game on the other hand, not so much. When it becomes too easy, it just becomes boring, and in Behaviour's infinite wisdom, they somehow made Survivor even easier. I swear to God that over half the team needs to be literally dribbling all over their input device for the match to hold any challenge at all on Survivor. So everything that made it too easy before, for example, loops that are so strong it's basically impossible for anyone except the nurse to get you if you're at all paying attention on Survivor, gens going by at Mach 1, being teleported to the safest spot on the map when you're unhooked with no noise notification when you're unhooked, making it extremely safe to just use zero brain power when it comes to unhooking, all still exist. By the way, I'm not saying that unhook changes aren't good, I'm just saying that it makes the game way easier. Everyone now has unlimited base kit Unbreakable. You can pallet save and stun, and it's been made so insanely easy to do with zero counterplay from the killer that if someone dies under a pallet and a survivor is nearby, they are 100% getting the save. On top of that, they added what is quite frankly the most moronic change I think Behaviour have ever added to this game. This being the generator repair speeds are reduced by 5% for each generator completed, and the generator repair speeds are increased by 2.5% for each cage state that the killer gets. The reason they added this was for, and I directly quote from Behaviour themselves, Dev note, 2v8 matches tend to be chaotic and swing heavily in favour of one role or the other. To help keep things from spiralling out of control early in a match, we've introduced a catch-up mechanic. The better survivors are doing, the slower repairs will be, and vice versa. In a close match, these effects will cancel each other out. No, they don't. This effect does sweet dick diddly to help snowballs from either side. The generator perk is so strong for Survivor that generators can be done in 40 seconds, completely negating the debuff. The generator perk also makes it so completing generators with other people instantly grants charges when you jump onto the next generator, making it so that completing a generator yet again is even faster, entirely bypassing this mechanic. It's like gaining 10 to 20 stacks of potential energy every time you finish a generator with teammates, which by the way can also be stacked onto the other teammates who did that gen, giving you massive amounts of instant progress when you've completed a gen the second you jump on the next generator. Meanwhile, if the killers are snowballing, it's because half the survivors, as we established earlier, are basically doing nothing, and unless gen speeds are going to be buffed by a ridiculous number like 40%, the 2 to 3 people actually playing the game aren't going to make up for the other 5 to 6 players doing sweet dick diddly, so you're going to get steamrolled anyway. The maths doesn't even make sense for this mechanic either. For it to be a true catch-up style mechanic like they said, the effects would have to be equal, proportional to each side's objective strength. There are 8 generators that need to be finished, and there are 24 hook states that the killer can get. This means that the killer has 3 times more objectives than the survivor have. The difference between 5% and 2.5%, which is the current catch-up maths however, is only 2 times, so the catch-up isn't even equal because the survivor doing a gen is only considered twice as strong as a hook state when it's supposed to be 3 times. Now, I could explain how to fix it, but at the end of the day, why does this mechanic even exist? Who asked for a catch-up mechanic, and if you were going to do one, even if it was perfectly balanced in its current state, it still doesn't do anything to stop the snowballs. The effects would have to be something massive to stop snowballing for one side. For example, gens getting auto-completed on Survivor, and the killer getting insta-down/hooks or something, so that it would actually snowball effectively in the other direction. If a game being close is dependent on one side basically doing nothing, that is a serious design flaw. Now, I am well aware there will be the dogshit argument that there always is when people bring up issues specifically in this mode, but it doesn't matter because it's supposed to be the fun party mode. Just have fun playing the game. This is only true because the mode is given to us in limited quantities. I would like to point your attention to another ASIM game, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. In this game there are 3 killers and 4 survivors, and it was described as the devs as a fun party game. For the first month, people loved to play killer because they could play with their friend on this type of role for the first time, just like 2v8. However, after a month this novelty wore off and what we were left with was a game so blatantly Survivor-sided that to this day, over a year after release, they are still nerfing Survivor because it is still massively overpowered compared to the killer role. So much so that there have been multiple states where the Survivor queue times are exceeding 20 minutes, just like early DBD, when nobody wanted to play killer. The novelty of 2v8 will only last for so long in DBD, and the issues should be addressed early before this novelty wears off, so people aren't just left hating the mode. The next thing is we have the queue times on killer. They're still atrocious. In fact, in 2v8 they are so bad right now that I was playing matches of Overwatch Classic between my killer queues. I actually managed to finish 2 full matches of Overwatch Classic, then get right to the end of a third one before our queue finally popped. The reason it's so long is because Survivor is just boring and nobody wants to play it. However, the 1v4 killer queue times have actually improved, but I think this might have something to do with the fact that there was a free weekend the last time 2v8 was out, and that might have affected the queue times for 1v4, unlike now where there isn't a free weekend. So, why is Survivor so boring other than the reasons that we explained earlier? Well, it doesn't provide anything unique compared to 1v4. Playing killer is fun in 2v8 despite the mode being so Survivor-sided because you're playing with your friend. It's a unique experience that you simply cannot have in 1v4. People will go to Behavior's defense and say, oh, but you can pallet save and flashlight save now, so they did do something. This is true. They did add pallet saving and flashlight saving, but this doesn't add anything unique to 2v8 on the Survivor side. At this point, we're just slowly adding back mechanics and situations that were taken away with 2v8 in the first place, but are still present in 1v4. Now, they could add unique situations to Survivor to entice people to play it, but instead in typical Behavior fashion, they aren't addressing the core problem with 2v8 and why survivors don't want to play. What they did is what they always do. Gigabuff / giganerf whatever it is that they see as problematic.
Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. That is crazy.
You've been developing this game for 8 years, Behavior, and you are continuing to do the exact same mistakes over and over again. I swear university game design courses should be case studying Behavior and their complete ineptitude when it comes to changes, just so no future developers fall into the same pit of issues. In fact, the only unique aspects of Survivor in 2v8 are being tag teamed by 2 killers at once, which I wouldn't consider a very good aspect since there's no counterplay to this. Also, being tunneled out is a lot harder. Now, being tunneled out being a lot harder will be enough for some people, but the queue times speak for themselves and it just isn't enough for most players. Also, because there are no perks and you choose preset classes, you don't need to worry about playing a character with the perks you have unlocked for them. You can just pick anyone. So that is a legitimate reason to play 2v8 over 1v4. Lastly, we have the lack of killers. This is the only one where significant progress has been made to improve this, since they implemented something to expedite the number of killers in the future that can be added, and that's replacing the killer's unique shared power with killer classes. So now if they want to add a killer, they just slightly buff their base stats and they can call it a day. Also, they have to code the AI for the bots, but that's a different thing. For example, Spirit is just Spirit with buffed versions of her most 2 used add-ons, so I would expect many more killers to be added in the next iteration, but as it stands right now, there's still a small amount, so you end up playing against the same 4 or so killers every single game. But hey, at least Hillbilly is playable now. This does have the knock-on effect of removing something special from 2v8 killer side, which is the extra perk that each killer had, which did actually feel fun to try and combo with your friend, which is a shame. I'll finish this video off by saying I don't want the mode to be boring. I don't want to complain about the mode. I want this mode to succeed so much because it's potentially the most enjoyable way to play Dead by Daylight. But Behavior really need to address the core issues with this mode, and if the last 8 years of DBD changes are anything to go off, maybe it will begin to reach its true potential after 5 years of updates. If you really enjoyed 2v8 before, you'll probably still enjoy it now. Otherwise, if you're like me and hope they would improve the mode in a way that actually affects the main issues, just like me, you'll be left disappointed playing the mode only for the increased blood points offered. Anyway, that's all folks, bye for now.